So it's my pleasure to introduce Gary Barnes. Gary is the Breakthrough Business Mastery Coach, a high-performance business and sales coach, popular national and international speaker. He's also an award-winning international Amazon best-selling author of 9 books. He's been on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, PBS, and TEDx. He has clients that span over 7 countries, and he's the founder of Gary Barnes International. He's a leading authority. As a leading authority, he's created several successful companies, personally selling over $280 million in products and services. He's completed a world-class 40-foot firewalk, flown a World War II, I'm going to have to move my mouth, P-51 fighter, flown on a trapeze, driven in a destruction derby, his car was named the Purple Passion, completed a 75-foot bungee jump and climbed 14,000-foot mountains. He's a drummer and a police academy graduate. All that said, he also understands dealing with adversity, as it's showcased in his internationally acclaimed book, How a Beaver Saved My Life, where he has talks about where he fought a life-threatening illness and won. In 1988, Gary was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and he was told that he would be in a wheelchair or dead within 10 years. But Gary never owned that diagnosis, and he created a process that has changed many lives around the world. He believes that your worst day is the day that you meet the man or the woman that you could have been. As he says, it's your choice. TRP, we are in for a very special treat this Valentine's Day. Gary's genuine, he's sincere, he up-levels business, and most importantly, he up-levels lives. He's one of my heroes, and I'm very pleased to announce him, Gary Barnes.
What, we've known each other 10, 12 years now? And you're still introducing me, so I must be. I feel like this is kind of home, because I think this is also like my 4th or 5th time up here.
You're a favorite.
So, okay. Sometimes that's not good. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. This feels like home. And over the last few years, I've gotten to know a few of you. And you have a unique group. There's not very many leads type of organizations that keep their core members as long as you have. So that's a kudo for all of you for the quality and what individuals really receive out of this group. One of the things that I was thinking about since I've come up a number of times is I'd like to ask you a question before I really get into the meat. I've got a lot of material that I want to share with you today. But what would you say the 2 most important things are for any business owner to have a successful business? What do you think that is?
Marketing and innovation.
Okay.
Integrity.
Integrity. What else?
Time.
Time.
Excellent product and communication.
Products and communication. Yes.
You have to have clients.
Okay.
You have to have clients.
And the answers you're giving me are the common answers that I even gave a number of years ago. But what I have found out, for any business to be successful, we have to do something that it really makes up about 80% of our businesses, and that's the psychological and emotional aspects of building a business. Most of the time, we go after the tactics, the strategies, the techniques of what it is to gain clients, to have a good product, to do all those things. But do you know anyone that has had a good product that went out of business within 3 to 5 years?
Yes.
Normally, it's this. This is the biggest difference here of staying in the game. Because every time you go out and speak to someone, do they say yes?
No.
Oh, no. Don't they just say, well, of course, where have you been all my life? I mean, it just doesn't do that. Because building any business, if you take it down to the very basics, it's a numbers game. You talk to enough people enough in the old numbers where you talk to 100 people, 10 people say, yes, I'll talk to you. 3 people will say yes through a process of, engaging with your product or service. What they didn't tell you is you may go through 1,000 people before those numbers start, going to those percentages. And so what does it take to really stay in business, to stay excited, to have the passion? Because most of the time when we're marketing logic. We're marketing the how do we do it and why do we, or not the why do we do it, but how in the process. So instead of attaching to the pain point, what is it that they want? I was talking to Gordon, no, it's Steve. And I said, when somebody breaks their leg, they don't care about the technique or having more information. They want the pain to go away. And so as we identify that pain, if we're not in that emotional state ourselves and have dealt with that, it can actually get in the way of our production. So one of the things I'd like to do is show a video. I'm kind of famous for doing multimedia. And this video really lays the groundwork for that emotional, psychological, getting up in the morning and being prepared to meet every new day as a new day, and being excited. I'm in my, yesterday, I was planning on saying this. I had a unique experience. I went to lunch to grab a sandwich, and the girl across the counter to me took my order, and there was nobody behind me. And so we were standing there, and she goes, you just look like my grandpa. I go, do I look that old? She says, yes. And so I said, but is he at least a nice guy? She goes, yes. I go, at least I got that. But I have been building businesses for over 40 years to very high levels very quickly. And as I look back and as I've designed and been teaching and working with businesses around the world in every industry you can imagine, it comes down to this 80%. Whether or not they're in business 3 to 5 years and how successful they are. So let's start with this.
Rise and shine. 6 a.m. and your hand can't make it to the alarm clock before the voices in your head start telling you that it's too early, too dark, and too cold to get out of bed. Aching muscles lie still in rebellion, pretending not to hear your brain commanding them to move. A legion of voices are shouting their unanimous permission for you to hit the snooze button and go back to dreamland. But you didn't ask their opinion. The voice you've chosen to listen to is one of defiance. A voice that says there was a reason you set that alarm in the first place. So sit up, put your feet on the floor, and don't look back, because we've got work to do. Welcome to the grind. For what is each day but a series of conflicts between the right way and the easy way? 10,000 streams fan out like a river delta before you, each one promising the path of least resistance. The thing is, you're headed upstream. And when you make that choice, when you decide to turn your back on what's comfortable and safe and what some would call common sense, well, that's day one. From there, it only gets tougher. So just make sure this is something you want, because the easy way out will always be there, ready to wash you away. All you have to do is pick up your feet. But you aren't going to, are you? With each step comes the decision to take another. You're on your way now, but this is no time to dwell on how far you've come. You're in a fight against an opponent you can't see, but oh, you can feel him on your heels, can't you? Feel him breathing down your neck. You know what that is? That's you. Your fears, your doubts, and insecurities all lined up like a firing squad ready to shoot you out of the sky. But don't lose heart. While they're not easily defeated, they are far from invincible. Remember, this is the grind, the battle royale between you and your mind, your body, and the devil on your shoulder who's telling you that this is just a game. This is just a waste of time. Your opponents are stronger than you. Drown out the voice of uncertainty with the sound of your own heartbeat. Burn away your self-doubt with a fire beneath you. Remember what we're fighting for, and never forget that momentum's a cruel mistress. She can turn on a dime with the smallest mistake. She is ever searching for the weak place in your armor, that one tiny thing you forgot to prepare for. So as long as the devil is hiding the details, the question remains, is that all you got? Are you sure? And when the answer is yes, when you've done all you can to prepare yourself for battle, then it's time to go forth and boldly face your enemy, the enemy within. Only now you must take that fight into the open, into hostile territory. You're a lion in a field of lions. millions, all hunting the same elusive prey with a desperate starvation that says victory is the only thing that can keep you alive. So believe that voice that says you can run a little faster and you can throw a little harder, that for you, the laws of physics are merely a suggestion. Luck is the last dying wish of those who want to believe that winning can happen by accident. Sweat, on the other hand, is for those that know it's a choice. So decide now, because destiny waits for no man. And when your time comes and 1,000 different voices are trying to tell you you're not ready for it, listen instead to that lone voice of dissent. The one that says you are ready, you are prepared. It's all up to you now. So rise and shine.
So what's your first impression after watching them? How do you feel?
Let's go.
How many of you like alarm clocks? You know, and then this morning, when that alarm clock went off for me, I mean, most of you guys probably live up in this area. I live in Highlands Ranch. And so it's cold getting up, it's dark, it's whatever, but my passion got me up. See, one of the things that I learned from an early mentor was it only takes one thing to succeed in business, and that is to last. You have to be there when the ship comes in that you sent out. They take the harvest in for the seeds that you planted and have those people. I have people that I've talked to 10 years later, they come back to me and they say, I'm ready now. If I hadn't lasted, somebody else would have taken that harvest that I had planted. And so it is that, let's go now. Let's have that passion like we have, but how do we keep it? How do we get it? Because so much of the time we think it's a pill. Go get pumped up. And really it's an individual matter. I talk about life is a solo journey traveled with many. And so we get into a room like this, we put on a good face, and you know, maybe things are not so rosy in our personal world. How do we coordinate that external and internal world so that we can be efficient and effective and actually draw people to us? And that is the key, is that we want to draw people to us for them to see us as their possible perfect solution. We're not chasing people anymore in this day and age. Going out and how to convert. I had somebody, one of my coaching clients, that is in a coaching certification program. He called me and he said, Gary, how do I convert more of the people I talk to? I said, let me ask you a question. Are you asking me how to have somebody do what you want them to do in your time? And he goes, oh man, I had never realized that. Our job is not to convert, our job is to share. And one of my Garyisms says we do not have a mandate to sell, but an obligation to share. And we can only share if that internal pressure goes down so that we can showcase and be there for individuals in an organic and truthful and honest way. Part of my background, it's not even on there, I went through my hospital chaplaincy training. And when we went through the training, we had to attend our own funerals. We had to write our own epitaphs. We had to write what was going to be on our tombstone. Any idea why? When you go into a patient's room, in the emergency room, or the oncology unit, where somebody is dealing with their own mortality, their imminent death, the family dealing with that transition, if we haven't dealt with our own stuff, it will get in the way, correct? Mm-hmm. And so I was 22 years old doing this. I'm going, I thought I had I'm already going to the end, but it has served me well. Because when I walk in to have any kind, like right now, I have no agenda of what is the outcome from here, except for touching at least one life. If I touch one of you in a meaningful way that changes how you do business or enhances how you do business, and it really produces more results for you, then it's been worth it for me to be here. So coming up without an agenda takes all the blocks. It takes the dollar signs out of the eyes. So how do we do this? So one of the things is something that I've become really famous for. It's called the no try way. And my license plate on my car says, those of you that know me,
No try.
no try. Where does the wisdom of no try truly come from?
Yoda.
Yoda. It is Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. So when we say we're going to try something, are we really going to engage? That emotional, psychological pullback from that is, what if it doesn't work? Because we don't want to be disappointed. But if we eliminate that, and actually, I have eliminated that word out of my life. And when I hear it, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. Because if somebody says, I'm going to try to do this, what are they saying? Probably no, because they don't like hearing no. but they don't want to give it to you to have you feel that. So we're running around dealing with people many times, not utilizing the most valuable asset that we have, which is what? Time. Because time is the only thing that you cannot duplicate. It's the only thing. It's the only asset that you have that you can't get back. That's why when you come here, it's what is the return on that investment of being here? For me coming up, what's the return on the investment? For me taking your time, not just to come up and be a talking head, but to be able to give you something that's usable and meaningful, and it's going to have some possibilities of changing your reality. So people have argued with me for years about the no try. There has to be a try. So I came up with a schematic, and it is like this. You make a decision, and I am going to stay in your frame hopefully. You make a decision, you take action, and then you get a result. What happens if we get a result that we don't want, we say we gave it the good old college try. In reality, it's just a new point of decision. It's not good, bad, or right, or wrong. It's those small adjustments that we can make at this point. But how many times do we go, okay, it's not working, so we throw everything away that we're doing and start over again? When if we were to look at it, step back, make a new decision, maybe it was only one thing that we were doing that wasn't having that result that you wanted. I was raised in a service station. Well, not literally. It felt like it. But back when cars were cars, not computers, and I remember my dad tuning cars with the distributor, and every car had what was called timing, and I guess it still does, but it's electronic now. And that you could have high performance everything in that car, but have it just be just a 1/16 of a degree off, and that car would not start. So if you started changing the fuels, changing the engine, it was just an adjustment, basically an attitude in the timing. It's what you did in the firing of those cylinders. And so one of the frameworks that I worked with for years is it's not what you do that's right or wrong, but it's the order in which you do it that gives you your ultimate result. So when we start embracing some of these really basic concepts, you're going to see immediate change in the people you are working with and their response to you. So, beliefs are always something that people talk about when they start talking about the psychological and emotional aspects. And this is one of my deisms as well. Facts are stories until they become beliefs. How many of you, when you first see that, have a tendency to say, that's not right? Anybody? Facts are stories. So let's go back about 150 years. Everyone knew the fact that the earth was flat. The earth was flat, is it? No, but it was a story that was, it was a story that became a belief that then transcended into having that fact. And so the world reacted to that as well. Do you realize that we have come in 60 years from the early 1900s, we went from the Model A to putting a man on the moon? And what did they say about the Model A? What was the belief about the Model A? Any ideas? It was about speed. What was said? Cars could not go faster than 30 miles an hour because your lungs would explode. That was a fact. And so the whole world designed cars so they didn't go faster than 30 miles an hour, so your lungs did not explode. So when we start looking at it, is this a good economy? How many of you say this is a really great economy? I may say, it could be better. It could be a better economy. The reality is a challenging economy. All economies are challenging in some way, so this is now a normal economy. But how we relate to it is going to determine how that economy relates back to us. So I don't think there is any perfect economy. When my early days in real estate, 1976, that is not 1876, that's 1976, but I was in Southern California. We were having $1,000 appreciation per week. And our price of our homes was, they started at about $28,000. $1,000 per week appreciation. And that was before faxes. I was in Riverside County, Orange County decided, it was almost like when California decided to come to Colorado. But what happened was, we would get Western Union Telegram. We would get 8 to 10 to 15 offers for a property within 12 hours. And they were just always bidding up, and everybody said, this is great. And I go, no, it isn't. This is not sustainable. We had the bubble with the .coms. It's not sustainable. What is a good economy or bad economy? It's a challenging economy, and what do we do with it? Because every economy actually needs every single service that's in this room. But how do they engage in it is really the question, which goes back to their psychology and emotional aspects to your product or service. So 99% of the results that you have in your life and in your business right now are on purpose, either subconsciously or consciously. 99% of the business that you have in your life. And so when we really started looking at it, some of these external factors, and I'm not going to go deep into the story today because I don't have 3 hours, but 1988 was the year that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It was a fact with the neurologist that I would be dead on a wheelchair in 10 years. I'm on bonus time 18. 28 years ago, it was right before Thanksgiving, 1988, was that diagnosis. If I had determined that was my fact, I would not be here. I adjusted to the diagnosis. Now, do I still have to adjust? I have very little feelings in my hands. I have very little feelings in my feet. I have fallen out 2 stages. I bump into walls. I say, hire the handicap, we'll come to watch. And, I had to rearrange my beliefs and my attitude towards what I was dealing with. It didn't say that, okay, I'm going to ignore it. It doesn't have any impact on me at all, because it does. When I travel, I do a lot of traveling, and I don't do buttons. So the hotel staff adopts me. And when I go back into the hotel, sometimes it's an ongoing engagement, they start arguing about who's going to help me. So it's really cool. So I can look at it as embarrassing, and I don't want anybody to know. But why? It's just being human and being open. And because of that, people remember me. They don't necessarily remember my name. Have you ever gone into an event and you think people really know you? You've told people who you are and what you do, and they don't? That's because you haven't given them a picture. You haven't given them a story. People forget my name, but they know me as the Beaver guy. They know me as the No Try guy. And guess what? I have all of those URLs, because that's how they find me. And so I can make it easy for them to attach to the stories. 1988 is, the way I put it is, I would not wish my life on anyone, but I would not take any element out of my life for anything, because I wouldn't be who I am today because of it. So, out of that came the Beaver book. That wasn't the original title, by the way. The original title was Into the Night, The Road from Adversity to Triumph. It did pretty well, and I was giving a talk, and a woman invested in the book, and a couple of weeks later, Big Betty Beaver showed up in my office. It's a 3-foot beaver, and now Big Betty goes everywhere when I do my talks and whatever. Yeah, he's a celebrity, not me. And so, but the thing is, when we changed the title of the book, it actually took me to all the major networks. It did 3 syndicated shows on PBS. In fact, it became such an interesting story because I had my psychological and emotional aspects in place that there was a PR agent in Washington, D.C. that said, I'm going to put you on PBS, whether or not I hired her. And so it wasn't conditional, we had connected on a different level. So, empowerment, how do we actually change this? How do we get that emotional attachment? Do you realize that right now you have somewhere between 10 and 11 million bits of information going into your subconscious every second? 10 to 11 million bits of information into your subconscious every second. Now we have, fortunately, a group of cells in the back of our heads called the reticular cells. Its sole purpose is to act as a filter, and it ranges somewhere between 40 and 2,000 bits of information that comes to our conscious awareness. So it's really, how does it know? Because our brains are a computer. We know that it doesn't have right, wrong, good, bad. What goes in comes out. If you put good information in, good information comes out. So how is it that we're going to be able to really make a difference and see the opportunities emotionally, particularly. And I want to give you the number one way that I have found over the years. So, writing must statements. How many of you do affirmations? Any of you do affirmations? So affirmations are good. What I came up with was, it really was a spin-off from what Tony Robbins does, because Tony Robbins does must statements. Now, he says, you know, an affirmation could be, I am not overweight, or it's a different way of putting it. But he says, if there's no weeds in my garden, and the weeds are 6 foot tall, there's a discrepancy. I mean, you see it, and so you're pretty much arguing with yourself all the time. But writing must statements, if you tell me I must do something, I'm not going to do it. If you tell me to go right, I'll go left. Even if I know there's a cliff there, I'm not proud of that. I just know it's my personality. And so one day I was looking at this and said, what could I exchange for the word? And the word that I saw was the word get. And I love that. You know, we get to open presents. I don't have to open a present. So now that expectation, that emotional, let's get going, comes back into play. And that passion is, we look forward to the morning, look forward to that appointment, look forward to that talk, that engagement on whatever it is. But if we talk about the get statements work, get I wanted to have as an acronym, and it means great expectations today. Great expectations today. So you tie into your little kid, that part of you that you just can't wait for your birthday present to open it or Christmas morning. Can you remember back as a kid, Christmas morning? I mean, you could hardly go to sleep at night, and you just know everything you're wanting the next day is going to show up under the tree. That part of that anticipation, that's what this does. So it's something very specific that we can do, and we'll show you how to do it. Here was one of my get statements a number of years ago. I fly with Skyfighters by September 1, 2012. Now what happened with this, I didn't fly with Skyfighters. Now it's back on my list to do this. Any of you know what Skyfighters is? It's where you go up and dogfight. You have lasers and smoke and it's all filmed. And I know I'm nuts. Anyway, I love flying. But what happened is I had an opportunity to do something in my mind that was even better than that.
Hi everybody, this is Gary Barnes from Denver, Colorado, and I'm in Kissimmee, Florida right now. I just flew Crazy Horse, the P-51. It was a phenomenal experience, and I just want to let you know that was one of my get statements, a get statement that became a reality. Hold on to your get statements, embrace your get statements, and they will be fulfilled. And I just wanted to share that with you. I'm excited. I can't wait to see you again, and the sky is the limit, literally.
One of the 10 best days of my life. And so get statements is about creating your future reality today. It's making your future so real that you can see it, taste it, and feel it. So you can then bring it back, and so you're no longer going towards your dreams, your wishes, your vision, but you're being pulled towards it. And the thing is that most of the time, those abilities and those connections to fulfill the things that you're wanting to do in your business and in your life. By the way, people ask me, are you a life coach or a business coach? The way I describe myself is unique, and that was the word I used, is I'm a business coach that includes life. I don't know how you separate the two. People do in the industry, but if you separate the two, now you've got conflicting agendas most of the time. So for me, it's about the combination. And so creating your get statements, these are the 5 questions, and we're not going to have a lot of time. How much time do I have? 3 minutes?
Well, until I give you the 10.
Oh, okay. Oh, you scared me. I only have 3 minutes. I'm going to start talking really fast. I'd like you to write these questions down for yourself, but before you go to bed tonight, I would like to have you put a timer on a countdown on your, and yeah, you can take a picture of the screen. And just for 10 minutes, write down the answers that come to mind to these 5 questions. What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to give? What do you want to be? And where do you want to go? These 5 questions touches on every aspect of your life, the mental, physical, family, business, relationships. And when we do this, we're going to have a balanced life. There was a time in my financial planning practice, I thought that I was engaged. And one of the questions that I was asked years ago was, are you a participant or are you a spectator? And I always thought I was a participant. But what I realized is I was really a spectator, because I had built a lifestyle that my family was enjoying, but I wasn't. I wasn't part of it. I was creating the revenue. I had created my financial planning firm to where it was in the top 3% of all private financial planning firms in the country. And I took 9 years without a vacation. 9 years, and I just thought it was normal. And at that moment, I realized that there was something more. I had to have a balance. Thank you. I had to have a balance in what I was doing so that I could also enjoy the ride, not just produce the ride. So when you go through this, this is something that you're going to have things come up in your minds that maybe, well, let's see. Just think real quick. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you ask the question to yourself, what do you want to have?
Freedom.
Freedom?
Happiness,
Happiness?
health, good
Health.
family relations.
Okay. So what about tangible things that you want to have? See, I would think those, and those are all important that you guys gave me, but that's about being, not having. It's about being, not having. And so part of it is an internal structure. Can I get happiness from an external source? No, it comes from the internal source. So it's about our being, not our having, not something on the outside. And that's where we get confused sometimes, when we say, I want to be happy. In fact, I was on a stage about 3 years ago with a woman that she's the happiness coach. I mean, her whole book is How to Be Happy. And it was very good in philosophy, but there was no structure in how to create that from the internal. It was all on the external. If you're happy with me, I'm happy. And so, or if you're doing something that I want you to do, now I can be happy. So it gets all mixed up. And so let's look at it tangible. If I said, what do you want to have? What would be something really, maybe be on your big audacious goal, or something that you've thought about, but you said, no, that's not for me, I'll never be able to do that.
My own edgeless house.
You know what?
My own edgeless house.
Your own edgeless house. So about, what does that run?
Low end, $750,000, high end, 2.5.
Okay, so $750,000 to $2.5 million. By the way, any of you get hung up on money? As the number gets too big, we kind of get that queasy feeling in ourselves, right? Well, as a financial, you're a financial planner.
What was the question?
There, okay. How long have you been in the business?
About 9 years.
9 years. So you've been in long enough. Is that we get jaded to numbers, right?
Sure.
Because we see numbers. And so what I created for myself, if the number is too big, subtract a 0. If the number is too small, add a 0. In the end, they're all zeros. Do you realize that money and everything that we exchange is all made up? there's nothing, we disagree on this as being a value. And so we take the emotion out of money. I wasn't planning on doing this either. Is money emotional? As a speaker, what I've learned to do when I get these little mental nudges is to honor them. But on money, is money logical or emotional?
Emotional.
How many of you say emotional? How many of you say logical? The first time I did this, I had a woman in the front row literally fall out of her seat. Now you can tell I really didn't prepare for this. So what is this? Besides a, do you see what that is?
$100.
So $100 bill?
Yeah.
So is money emotional or logical? What is this?
It's paper.
It's a piece of paper with ink on it. It has no ability to be emotional or logical at all. It's a chameleon. It will treat us back as we treat it. And so as a financial planner, it's a blending of the two, an emotional outcome with a logical process. So we make buying decisions with emotion. We justify those buying decisions with logic. And so, but if we start looking at this, one of my transformations with this was my largest commission as a financial planner was $79,000. And I did 3 hours worth of work. My transition was, I didn't do enough time. I didn't do enough stuff. But where the transition is, they weren't paying for my time, they were paying for my value. And so, again, it goes back to the psychological and emotional aspects of what do we interpret the meaning of the different stimulus. So, if you would, is go through this. But I want to go through a get statement. So here's one that really relates to everyone. The number doesn't matter, but I want to break this down. Because everyone has a goal normally about what you'd like to receive monetarily in your business every year, right? So here it is. I received $100,000 with $80,000 net revenue by, I can't change the date here, December 15, 2018. So what do you think the most important elements of this get statement is?
The amount, the time received.
So let's go through it. The very first thing is the idea of receive. Did I say I work hard? I work longer. I work more diligently. No, I'm in a position of receiving. See, if the attitude, our beliefs around money really goes, most of us in a American society, the harder I work, the more money I'll make. But if that is true, then every steel worker and coal miner and farmer in America would be gazillionaires. So it's really about value. So it's a position of receiving, which also says the revenue can come from any source. And then $100,000 with $80,000, what do those numbers represent? Gross and net. Most of the time when I look at someone's goals, they have one number. And it's almost always the bigger number. Even when they get the bigger number, because that's the number they want to spend, they're not able to. Why? They have expenses and taxes and cost of doing business and all that to generate that. And so they could have and met a goal and feel really bad about it. So it's always important to know what the cost of doing business, even for a W-2 employee, they still have taxes and other things that will come out of that gross number. And so then it's revenue, net revenue. So that's what we're going to focus on as far as our numbers. The word buy is not the word on. What happens when you look at something that you say it can happen by such and such? It can do what?
Happened earlier.
Happen earlier. It's, we have a tendency to put a stake in the ground and, okay, I can't do it too soon because that's the date that it's supposed to show up. So when we say buy, it can happen earlier, and most of the time, in my experience, is working with people around the world with this, is it does happen earlier. Because as you start into this process, you don't even realize some of the opportunities that you're not even seeing because you haven't programmed those reticular cells to see those opportunities. And then, why do you think I chose December 15th of whatever year?
Before Christmas, I think it's busy.
Huh?
Before the holiday rush.
Yeah, before the holiday rush. But let me ask you, don't raise your hand, but if I was to look at your goals right now that are written out, how many of them have December 31 on it? All the way to the end of the year. Do we want to work the last 2 weeks of the year? I used to do it to the end. That's why I didn't take a vacation. I had my process, and I still had 2 weeks to do everything and get everything in. So now my year ends on December 15th. I want to enjoy the holidays. I want to get ready for the new year. I want to revitalize myself, give myself some rest, so that I go into the new year strong instead of just coasting in. And so that 15th is a really important day. And now, do I do anything in my business for the last 2 weeks of the year? Yes, but it's not scheduled. I deal with emergencies. I deal with things that come up, so I don't plan anything during that time. So, what I'd like you to do is, once you have your get statements, I'd like for you to create 8 to 10 get statements, at least one get statement in each of those question areas. So go, be, do, have, and give. And so 8 to 10. Then this is where the real programming comes into. I want you to handwrite each of those statements every morning. I mean, you can do it in the evening. I prefer it in the morning because that sets up your day to see those opportunities. Why do you think I asked you to handwrite them?
You own it. You own it.
You own it. There's another reason. There are 3 ways that we take in information: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. When you handwrite, you're activating all 3. When you write it, it's kinesthetic, so don't type it. Kinesthetic, when it's on the piece of paper, it's visual. And when you see it, aren't you saying it to yourself? So it doesn't have to be out loud. It can be silently to yourself, and it's still programming the reticular cells. And so you're getting immediate, it's almost like a direct infusion of the best antibiotic, the best vitamin, whatever, right into your system. Because now the reticular cells has something very tangible, very focused to focus on. And then commit to it for the next 30 days. By committing to it, you're going to have, usually it takes 6 to 7 days before you don't have to look at the previous day to know what the words were. Do you remember that when we had albums, records? I know I'm starting to date myself. Cassette tapes, CDs. You had your favorite album. Did you know the names of every song in the order they were in before you put it in? Normally you didn't. But what would happen is that when one song ended, you knew what the next song was going to start with. And that's what this does, is that as you start writing these out and embracing them, it's going to trigger that emotion and that thought of what that next get statement is. So if you're willing to do this, you're going to find, and it seems so simple. It really is. It's not easy. Because it's something that you really think it's not going to be that effective. And here's the last thing I'll say to you, is that you don't even have to believe that they'll work for them to work. Mm-hmm. I've had people that tell me, I'm just going to do it to prove you wrong. And then a month later they go, shoot. My person that does all my travel, she called me up, she goes, is it always this easy? Does it always happen? And she was a non-believer. She was in back of the room doing all the detailed stuff and said, you're not going to change me. And she called me yesterday. She goes, how did you get in my head? I go, I didn't. I didn't. You were just there. You were taking it in. It was making sense. You were starting to use it. So, this is something I've been using for a number of years. And I'd love to hear the stories that you have, if you're willing to take the risk, the emotional risk, of applying some of these things. It's been great to be with you today. Thanks.